Hello Blender folks, welcome and welcome back to the Pxy-STUDY. So today we're gonna do something special. This is will be edited and we're gonna make some demonstration of the secrets of the auto IQ option in Blender. In vanilla Blender, vanilla if you don't know, it's the base Blender, the base software without any add-on. And so what is auto IQ option? So we're gonna make a very organized presentation here because it's a lot of stuff. And let's start with the very basics here. I'll be editing, so don't worry, we'll be adding some objects here, okay? So that will be my titles. Yeah, so some titles. So we'll start by this is too big. Yeah. What is the auto IQ option tab? Okay. Yeah, bear with me because this will require some patience. Better if I get this into texture, maybe get something here. Hold on. Color material, and it's a material. Yeah, I'll be having to do this all the time. I have 3 blend files open here. That's not working. Okay, so it doesn't work very well. So here we go. Okay, so what is the auto IQ option? It's a ephemeral rigging, I would say, feature that exists in Blender. I believe for more than 10 years it's been around, but nobody or very few uses it. It's only on pose mode, and it is here. I even have a shortcut for it because I use it all the time. Alt X for me. So it's a, you can assign shortcut, change shortcut for it. And this is very good. So, and so this I can be toggling this on and off because this will change how the rig behaves, the skeleton that we are manipulating behaves according to an option. This is why ephemeral rigging is not necessarily about changing the rig. It's just changing the tools and the options and making the rig, this not randomly, this is called pose options, right? Tools tab on pose mode. So pose options, we have many things. So we can do a lot of changes in the rig behaviors without needing to have a complex rig, a complicated rig, because the rig already offers this by default. And vanilla Blender has been offering this incredible tool, auto IQ option, for a while. And I had to figure out that this was more intricate and more complex for rigging, 3D rigging and 3D animation than I would say today. At the time of this post, and 99% of the riggers and animators understand. This thing is so powerful actually that it can match the features of even other softwares like Unreal Engine, Cascadeur. I never use those software, but I watched some stuff. Oh, this relates to what the auto IQ option does in Blender, but there are different ways to use it, and this is the thing that we're gonna explore here. So here I have these multiple skeletons here, and you'll see that we can change the behavior with this option. Okay, so this works. First you need to have it on, but if we don't have it on, when we grab, well, these chains of bones, they are all connected, right? Except this one is parented but offset but disconnected, but all the rest is usually connected, right? So if I grab, if I rotate, right, you see, okay, if I grab this one, I do this, I rotate. So this is the normal behavior, right? But AutoIQ option, it allows us to create, let's grab this, which is at the beginning of this of this IK chain here. If I press grab, also let's use the screencast so you see what I'm doing. I'll do slowly. So if I press grab here, you notice that, okay, this is nothing special, but you see this auto IK length, it's equal to 1. If it is 0, that means we can mouse wheel scroll this up, it goes negatively, and or up down to 0, right? 0 is infinite. And seeing that the grabbing now is doing an inverse kinematics thing, just as an IK bone constraint, for example. With some differences, but what we're gonna, the advantage of using the auto IK option is that it is versatile. So if I augment here to chain, you see I grab this bone and the auto IK length is 1. Let's drag down the mouse wheel, middle mouse button, right? The mouse wheel at least, and then we have auto IK length of 2. Now my auto IK length of 2 allows this inverse kinematics in this way, and then 3 and 4, and I can go back, right? I can grab a bone here and then do 3. Okay, this doesn't matter, but you see what is in the direction here of the last bone in the IK chain will do IK, including this bone that is the selected one, while the rest one, the other ones which are also connected here, they won't do IK, they will do F key. They are going in the opposite direction, in the direction of the first bone in the IK chain, this temporary IK chain. So you see that this temporary, actually what Blender is doing is that it's creating, I believe, a temporary IK bone constraint on the grab, just on this bone. And so these two are doing F key, and while these others are doing I key. So it's a simultaneous I key, F key, and it's progressive because I can pause this and validate, left click, or validate, left click, and I can keep pausing, adapting the rig the way that I want, right? So I can do joint pinning, at least in this direction of in direction of the last bone in the IK chain, this one. So in this direction I can do pinning on demand. You see, I grab here, I want to do pinning on this joint here, so I just reduce the auto IK length to 1. Okay, so here it is spin. What I cannot do with the IK bone constraint is spinning on the direction of the first bone of the IK chain. For example, I grab this, see, nothing is spinning. But curiously, if I pick this one, oh, look at this, this is spinning. But this is an exception. And so this is what oh shit, I don't like my presentation so far. So it's a bit chaotic, I should restart. But no, let's continue, let's try to reach some results here. It's gonna be slower than I think. Okay, so why this is spinning like this, but I cannot control on demand this spinning. It's just on the first bone, the tail joint of the first bone in the IK chain, this will pin. This behavior only works on a very specific rig state or rig conditions. The last bone in the IK chain, or in the the last connected bone, needs to be in this direction, right, of the in the IK direction, right, inverse kinematics. So it needs to be unparented. So you see, there's no parentage. As soon as this bone is parented, like in this case, you see the offset parenting, as soon as it has an offset parenting, this won't do the pinning anymore. You see, I can't, I grab it, but it doesn't move. While here I grab, it moves with the auto IK option on. So this is, it's the way it is currently. It will be great if they changed it, but okay, there are workarounds, yeah. So there are workarounds. So we cannot use offset parenting in this way, or it will break this pinning behavior, which can be very sophisticated, but it also fails to work if the auto IK length, you see, it's equal to 1. However, if it is different than that, than 1, like let's say it's infinite, then it works. You see, it works here. Here, if I grab this, I won't do, there's no connected chain here, so won't be, these bones won't respond, right? And I can grab this and this, but it won't respond because, not so much because of this, but because, probably also because of this, but because, anyways, this is stacking the F key behavior, right? Because this, what I'm doing here, actually it's called reverse I key, because this is I key, inverse kinematics, and this is reverse inverse kinematics. We know the, oops, sorry folks, we know the reverse kinematics from this this behavior here. So this is reverse I key. I have regular, more or less regular I key bone constraints here, right? So you have the reverse I key here, but this rig is more complex. It's use partial settings here that I'm presenting, and we can use even more than that. This is a full auto I key option rig, and I'm gonna show how it works. Well, it's not complete there, but it is on progress. Okay, so you see that if you thought, as I thought for a long time, that auto IK option is limited and it doesn't do pinning like this, then you are wrong. And I was wrong. I didn't understood it properly, because it's very mysterious. You cannot grab this bone nor this bone. You need an unparented chain of bones in the end, right? And it cannot be like, you cannot connect you cannot connect this parent this offset to a root bone, for example. So this will ruin the setup, right? You see, currently. But so it needs to be unparented, and then there are tricks that we can use even with an unparented setup to mimic a parenting setup, and then we can force this unparented bone to behave even as if it were parented. This is the setup that exists here. All these bones here, these sphere custom shapes here, they are actually unparented bones. So we see where the rig is splitted, where the rig here is it's chopped. So the skeleton is chopped in pieces, and right, for some reason. Yeah, this allows to do really crazy things solely with the auto IK option. No IK bone constraint at all here. And yeah, but I have here reproduced a few others. Here we have also these bones, like you see here in the wrist. This, we see one here for the sacrum, or somewhere where the upper body connects with the lower body. There is one also here we can see, this suggests that the head is chopped, yeah, from the neck head joint there, right? So at least for the control bone skeleton, right, bone layer. So there are various ways of setting this up. Right now I'm just showing that we have what we currently have, right? So we have dynamic ephemeral rigging here, by just scrolling the mouse wheel, we can do multi. Aha, look at this. And this is very interesting because if you have various chains, you see, we can have, right? We can do various things. We don't need also is to pick this. We can pick, let's say, grab here. We can have different, but the chain auto-IK length is always the same for the selection. It's not splitted. It's a generic. But you see that we can do multi-posing, right? And this is very interesting, right? For various reasons. So this is why we can do really advanced rigging behaviors with a skeleton like that engages in an auto-IK option setup, which will be favorable to auto-IK option. So for example, okay, but this is not necessarily new to anyone, but the auto-IK option can be used on this manner. So this is interesting, right? It's fundamental to know. Okay. So let's see what else we can get from this one. Okay, so see, this is the most regular thing. This is just the same here. So at some point the chain needs to end, right? But if it ends like this, then this is garbage. This is garbage for the pinning feature. So if you want to preserve the pinning feature, then we need to avoid this and do instead a different setup, which will come soon to this, which is what I have here, this splitted skeleton. It's very simple to do actually, but it's tricky because it's very unorthodox. I've discovered it myself that it was necessary, and so I'm explaining this in the process. Okay, so you see, even if the auto-IK option is on, if we are grabbing some parts of skeleton which are not good for it, then it's just not gonna be useful, right? So it requires a setup, a skeleton that is favorable to it. The best skeletons, of course, are those ones which have connected chains and that are left unparented in the very end, at the very bottom, right? And then we need to reproduce the, let's say, the F key behavior of the connection or the unconnection, right, instead, with something else, usually bond constraints. So there are various ways to do that, and I was busy exploring this, and this is, I've just found this solution today, and this is groundbreaking. All this is groundbreaking actually. For ephemeral rigging in vanilla Blender. So see, this is vanilla Blender. The guys, I don't know who the girl guy, I don't know who may or how many people were involved, but whoever made this thing, the auto-IK option in Blender, this is a genius feature, and it is totally groundbreaking. It absolutely needs improvements, but without even any improvement, you see, I was doing this before Blender 5, so it's not a Blender 5 thing. So this is very interesting. So here you see, this will be a plausible solution to the pinning on demand. It's just a presentation here. What we have here is two chains, except that here you see that we have an unparented. Oh, but this is forbidden. Yeah, this is forbidden for this one, if you want pinning this. But it's not forbidden. Yeah, it's forbidden for this chain. But for this other, if it's absolutely, it's not absolutely necessary, right? We still have the I key here. We just don't have the reverse I key. But we could split this into unparented thing, right? Split this rig and then make this otherwise. But I'm showing here that you see that apparently a temporary, when I grab a temporary IK bond constraint is forming this. This was coded in C, apparently, so it's hard coded, we could say. Maybe with some add-on we can reproduce this in as in Python script. I'm not a developer programmer, so I can't do this, but I was making some tests here, and even here we have some Copilot AI assistant. There's even a proposition that I haven't thought here about the default chain length behavior, like use the built-in default. So would you prefer to configure it as a default like 2 instead of 0, which is infinite, the auto IK length, or do you want a per bone override later? That will be very cool, because a per bone would be like, if I grab here, maybe I would like a per bone override of 4, so it is automatically set auto IK length to 4. If I grab this bone, this one will set to 3, this one to 2, this one to 1, and so forth. So it would like this one to 3, so it will not extend. Nothing happens if it extends in this case, but in some case this could lead to problems. So you see, we can have per bone. So this is a very interesting idea that I haven't thought about. So anyways, so we don't have the reverse IK here, but we still have the reverse, the IK. We have the IK, but not the reverse IK, just because of this offset parenting. So if that could be changed. But here what we have is that, you see, because of the F key parenting offset, we have an F key behavior. There's even a ballistic rotation of the bone, right? It's describing a arc of motion, like offset parenting thing, right? But what if we locked, like, imagine if we had alongside with a temporary IK bond constraint that you see here, right? This is not occasionally, this is not a glitch. This is because really there's an IK bond constraint, temporary one being formed here. And after we validate, it does that, right? So imagine if we had temporary bond constraint here. It's very simple. It's a limit location with local with parent. You see, we just pinned the joint. I've just made it space here so that we can see the relationship line, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to know easily. So this is why I'm left it here. But imagine this was closed like there, right? So you see that what we have here, if this was a temporary limit location, I don't know how to script that, right? But imagine if you have an add-on or an auto IK option 2.0 that had a limit location like this and a limit rotation like this, like same thing, factor local with parent, then we can temporarily enable my proposition to be alongside an auto IK length, which is mouse wheel scroll, shift mouse wheel scroll, which doesn't work here, of course, but it will command another custom property, an auto F key length, which will allow us to pin the joint on demand. So of course this would require, I'd see two ways. Connected chains are too problematic, but it's the only chains which the auto IK option work with. But if it worked with, if it disconnected temporarily, I think this would be a way, the pin joint, then we could just add this limit location, limit rotation, and it would stop doing this, right? And you see it stopped for this bone, it stopped for all the rest. So this, imagine if we had this pin on demand. So that would be the solution. It took me a while to figure out how to solve this theoretically, but it works, right? In practice, that it is. That is what would need to be, right, made this way, right? So you could pin, can decide that, oh, the auto F key length, I want to pin this, so auto 1, right? Or maybe this one, then I would pin here and this will happen. right? And imagine that that would be versatile, so that would be giga improvement, right? And of course, but the problem, of course, if this bone was connected, this setup would fail because the connected parenting is very strong. You see, it overrides bone constraints. Maybe not the rotations. There's even okay, so this is something we cannot do with these IK chains. Usually we cannot bone constraints them or drive them, because this will create, this is not a dependency cycle. What is this? Okay, this is something that this, yeah, maybe there's a dependency cycle, because, but usually this behavior here happens just because of an when we are trying to do auto IK option and there's an IK bone constraint or a driver somewhere in the chain. So that will cause this, but this is not necessarily a dependency cycle. And that, of course, will ruin the 3D animation potential. So we must be advised we cannot do this, at least not currently. And this usually is not necessary, right? So this is why let's disconnect here. And so this will be a, also let's move this up, right? Okay. And so I can have a similar behavior if I just yeah, so you see now I mimic the behavior of the previous one, I guess. And no, not entirely, right? Because it's split, right? We could have an, okay. And here is completely locked, or, and the opposite would be this. Yeah, I have the limit location. All right. Okay, so now they are exactly the same. Okay, so this is just cool demonstrations here. So this would be a way to do it. So either or we make that the auto IK option works also with offset parenting for all the, so that we could add this without needing to temporarily break the connected, which could cause some wreak havoc, I believe. I don't know. Something needs to be done, would need to be done in order that to work, because with the connected parenting, we saw that it will override, I think, the location, right? Because this, when you check what happens to the transforms of bones which are connected, you see, this is connected to this, this is connected to this, so it cannot, its location, its local coordinates of the location are overridden by the previous bone, the position of its tail. It's the commander of, this is why we cannot, yeah, so this is very strong behavior that overrides stuff. It doesn't override the rotation, this is why the rotations are free. So, okay, next. So here we see that we have double pinning, and this is happening because, of course, this is bone is left unparented. Okay, so here a cool trick. So we can pin the armature, make sure this is pinned. So pin that armature object, right? And we want here to get the bone tab, and we want to just bring this to the very top so that we can see the relation. We can also click here, and no, it's not this. Show header, and there we go. So we can always see the settings here for the name of the bone. Sorry about the names, it's all messed up, but what matters here is that the we can see it's non-parented, and there is it's not connected. Yeah, there's no connection anyways, and there's no parent. So this, if I grab this bone and my auto IK length is different than 1, usually it's better when we can reach the extremity, each one of the extremity. Then we have the best behavior. So it probably needs to be a auto IK length of 4. And so 5, then it will all be the same. So it's like 4, that means 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would means that the minimum to have the best behavior. So this can be used for a fingertip spinning, and this is the setup that I have in a half non-orthodox skeleton, because this skeleton uses some bone constraints. So you can see that if I can pin, I just show here, but you see this fingertip spinning. So fingers are spinning, fingertips are not pinning. So you see, but I'll explain how this works here. But this is the unparented bone actually. So a lot of the control rig here of the hand is splitted, and then it ends up here. And then this bone has some bone constraints, like a couple here. It could be various things. It depends on the setup that we want. So this is versatile. So we can have usually a copy location, maybe on the tail of, it could be on the tail of this bone, for example. It depends on the rig, right? Or in the head of another bone that could be a mechanism bone. I don't care. Then pose space is same as world space. Usually I prefer pose space is related to the armature space, right, instead of world space. Okay, but can be world spaces here as well. So just a straightforward copy location. Just here we might want something else, and then a copy rotation which might exist or not, which depends on the setup. In this case, in the case of this rig, I want that, and we can do a replace pose space to simplify it. Yeah, so it just follow up. This bone will just follow up. Yeah, buffer bone, the same of some bone that is in the hand here. So that means that it will follow yeah, so it's being controlled by this I key in this case. But it does the fingertip spinning. Unfortunately, because we don't have currently in Blender for the auto I key option this feature, the auto F key length property on demand, we cannot do F key pinning. We cannot do, like, imagine this was a fingertip. We can just pin the fingertips. We cannot do this from these other bones, and we cannot do if this bone was parented offset. So it needs to be unparented again, and the auto I key length needs to be different than 1. Okay, and also something that I forgot. It's not just grabbing that works with auto I key option. We can also use the rotate, but this is not trivial, because the auto I key option usually is by G, grab. But if I rotate, it doesn't activate, right? You see, nothing happens. But if I press G and into GR, so GR, now I have, well, let's do with this one. G, now I'm doing grab, rotate. Let's why it's not working. GR. Okay, now it is working. So I probably need a larger. So G, the auto I key length is 9. Okay, let's leave it at 9 because it's big enough for this chain here. So GR. So you see, we can do reverse I key with the rotation. So I can press X, Y, Z, or R again to do the trackball. You see, you can read trackball there, which is the more versatile one. So look how cool this is. But this will create a glitch that we can auto fix. So I validate, it glitches, you see it's changed. So just press grab G, right, and validate, and now it returns to where it was. This is very confusing, but so GR, do something, trackball, validate, GR. Sorry, no, not, I mean grab, rotate, no, grab, augment the auto I key length to something big, okay. G, okay, R, validate, left click, then it glitched, it changed, it warped, so G unvalidate, so it goes back to where it was. So G R do something, validate, G R G, yeah, G validate. Yeah, let's once more. So GR, this is my, it also works from here, I guess. So GR, yeah, see, validate, G validate. This time, okay, let's try this one. GR validate, G validate. Okay, it doesn't seem to work with this. I just learned this apparently. It doesn't work when we are handling the inverse kinematics. Interesting. Or at least not in any way. Maybe I need a... Okay, let's try here. GR. Yeah, so it's, anyways, this works here. GR validate, G validate. Then it returns to where I really wanted, right? So these are glitches. Probably needs to be a bug. Maybe it needs to be fixed. Probably, right? Something. And it would be nice if we could also make it from here, right? Here it doesn't auto fix, or I haven't found a way from the inverse kinematic, but it usually works from the reverse I key. GR, this one, GR, validate, G, it doesn't work, yeah. So this is unfortunate, but usually we need this for when we're doing the reverse of key, at least in my experience. So they should improve this, I should ask for that. Okay, so here we can do fingertip spinning. Oops, say auto I key length needs to be different than 1. If it's 0, then that's infinite. That is good for all of them. Okay. Another thing that is very important is that we can actually, let's reduce the auto I key length. If I have, so all these bones are connected to this connector bone. And you see that we are doing pinning of everything here, right? By grabbing this bone. Not necessarily by grabbing this bone. If I didn't have the auto I key option, yeah, it's just pure F key, right? But because I'm grabbing this bone and the auto I key length is reaching everything, then and different than 1, then this is working. And I'm grabbing, right? If I rotate, probably I'll have the right, it fixes, right? I've grabbed, rotated, trackball, validate, G, validate. See, that fixed. This is very annoying, but this works. Okay, so here we, you'll see something interesting here. If I grab here and extend, okay, grab here and extend, grab here and extend. But what if I reach one step more? Auto I key length of 3 from this. Could be by grabbing this with the same auto I key length, or just expanding the auto I key length to 4. What happens now is that because I'm doing inverse kinematics, this chain here, this part of the chain is behaving in F key, while this one I'm using right now is doing I key, and this one also is doing I key. But these are doing F key. However, if these bones had some other feature, like if they were bone constrained, I would be able to do, I'll show a real case example. I would be able to do reverse I key from this bone to spread into them here. And the example that I have here is this character here. So basically here there is the splitting of the hand, but this is a different thing. Ignore that for now. If I grab the spine here, you see that I'm not grabbing the unparented bone, and still this is spinning. This is because there's really an IK bone constraint here. And this rig is way more complicated, but it doesn't need to be. Actually, we can make much better. I found today. But here what we have is a regular pinning because of the IK bone constraint, and it's interacting with the. It's not that it's doing double pinning, right? It's just that this is more regular stuff, right? So they are not the IK bone constraint is sort of overriding this bone here, and so I have the pinning of a bone there that is in the same IK chain of this IK bone constraint here, which controls here. It goes up here. There's another bone here, which would be the one with the IK bone constraint. Actually, it is better if I show it once. And solo out here. It is somewhere. It is this one. Yeah, so this is super complicated. In this rig particularly. Is the mechanism IK owner. So this bone actually is parented, connected to the control forearm. You see, it's connected. So this is the one which holds the IK bone constraint, which, right? Yeah, let's I lost it. Hold on. This. Okay, so chain length of 2, right? So you see, this can work and use tail. No, not using tail, so I disable this. So I can extend this bone to the hand. The reason to do this, main reason, was that in this way, this particular very complicated non-orthodox rig, which I don't recommend to do, there's better things to do actually than this, is that the good thing about this is that I can still have this bone here as some ways of, yeah, we have the pole target, we have the, oops, I think I broke something. No, didn't broke anything. Okay, so we can still have some control of the chain, the control skeleton. So you see, I'm using auto IQ option from here. Pose option. So this is actually not in the IQ chain. When by extending, having this other bone here, this makes this bone a little more free, because usually we would run the IQ bone constraint here, but I freed it from it, made it free from it by adding this an extra bone there in that chain. So, okay. So because this one is totally free, then it's a control shoulder, right? So this is doing reverse F key, reverse I key, right? Just as something like this, right? For the pinned feet, right? Okay, anything else? Okay, so the interesting thing here is that, yeah, I cannot control this. They are being very well with the auto IQ option alone, right? They got a bit glitched out. Not glitched, they are contradicting with the IQ chain length of the IQ bound constraint. So this causes some glitches sometimes, but it can work. The important thing is that this control chain skeleton is connected here, which is connected to the spine. So that means that I can, for example, do something like this. I can extend even towards the spine, and I can do this. And if I grab the head, you see the head is not doing the rotation, but if I grab not this one, but if I grab the head, you see that we have here some, the head is following up. It said in this case the head is splitted, so this is why I need to do this. So it's just a multi-selection of bones, and all right, just showing some examples here. Okay, so maybe this is not the best example. Let's see. Okay, so okay, returning here, we got this. Hi, hello, Roro Noah Jason. Roro Noah Jason, welcome to the stream. Yeah, so sorry, I haven't seen before. So basically here, let's go for this setup. So this setup, this is the unparented one. No, sorry, these ones, these crazy ones, are the ones left unparented. And you see they have some bone constraints that will mimic the parenting offset in that case. And these bones are equivalent to these ones here. So what this does is a bit crazy. This rig here, differently than this rig here, which is a bit more orthodox than this one. This is totally non-orthodox. This one doesn't use any Ike bone constraint for the control rig. So, but I can pin the joint, the hand, the feet by a very peculiar behavior. If I grab this torso bone, or even the center of gravity bone here, and select this bone, immediately I have foot pinning. If I grab these two, I have foot pinning. If I grab the unparented bone, this is making that the auto IQ option, of course, it is on, otherwise this won't happen. So this is extending the, because I grabbed the first bone, I can grab, also rotate, you know the technique, grab, rotate. So I can grab, rotate. This is reverse I key, by the ways, trackball. So even if it glitches, I can G validate and it solves. It's annoying, but okay. So it's not just location, right? It's also works for rotation. So rotation, or rotation X, rotation Z, rotation Y. So you see, we can do that. Validate, G, validate. And then we just grab, and we can grab this and have this, and look at this behavior. And same for the arms. You see the leg is splitted from this joint here, precisely here. There is this unparented bone here. So, and this is symmetric, of course. In this case of the character, so we can grab this, for example. So here, pin that. We don't have pull targets, right? But we can still manipulate these legs. There are other advantages here, but it doesn't matter. Okay, there's keyframes here. Let's delete these keyframes. This was because of the curve of motion, you know, the F key, I key, interpolation modes. That's garbage. But here, this kind of rig kind of solved this single-handedly, because actually, because these bones are connected, they have an F key behavior, and this bone, because it's unparented but it is getting some bone constraints, this sort of mimics the F key behavior, and then this bone will which corresponds to the base of the ankle, then it will generate, if we add a if you calculate. So if I grab this bone, let's keyframe this bone here, then let's rotate it here or along the x-axis. Let's pick this bone here and calculate the path. And see, it automatically creates, because this is, we don't pose by a I key controller foot. We control this by this bone. And yeah, maybe it is bad for locating of the, because then we might not be able to plant the foot in a very specific, so maybe this is a little limitation that I haven't found, but you see, we can do this simultaneous I key F key. So I can take this bone, for example. So this is all structural, so it's in build. So for example, I keyframe this. I need to look at here. Let's keyframe this here. Insert a keyframe for this. Let's now create a motion pad for that. So you see, I don't need any switch because this is doing I key, but the I key is doing F key in terms of the arcs of motion. So it's all, whatever I keyframe here, it will always follow. Maybe there's a limitation, right? But it will always make the perfect circular arcs of motion. I've just shown, right? Let's delete all this keyframes. Of course, there are other bones here that we can offset. Probably we can offset with tweaker bones, right? Then we can totally offset the, if you really want, we can tweak the, yeah, it's not ideal, but yeah, imagine we have tweaker bones I would have in this rig, just as I have here, right? So tweakers of the joint, so we can do, right? Then if you want to totally place it would not be the control bone, but right, you could place exactly on the 3D cursor location. Yeah, the hand, the mechanism rig for the deform rig and all that, right? And so what the auto IK option right now cannot do without a special setup, because this is more groundbreaking today. I'm just gonna show this setup. So this is the last thing I just found today, imagine. So here we got what we cannot do is spinning of the joint from the perspective of the yeah, I can pin the joint here with what? I can pin the joint with, yeah, so here we have this F key behavior system. So this is a simultaneous I key F key setup that is hybrid and very crazy, but it's half orthodox. So these bones here, they are not for location, they are just for rotation. So they stay in place, and then they will do the F key arcs of ballistic circular arcs of motion, right? Same as this one. While we cannot do this with these bones because the I key control, because it's a loose bone. It depends on these structures, on F key behavior to do the R. So this is how stupid the interpolation in these CG softwares are. It's linear, right? Not linear in the sense of keyframe. Yeah, too much to explain, but it's linear. It will create a linear interpolation. You have to break down it to make a circular. The circular will not be perfect, and yeah, so you need this F key would be clean stuff, but then it's more bones to keyframe, which is terrible, right? But with a rig like this, you can the same bone that are doing I key are the same bone that are doing F key. So this is like you just keyframe these things and you get the job done, right? So this is even more advanced, although it's way more simpler. So this is how crazy this thing gets. And this is an underdeveloped vanilla Blender feature since, I don't know, ages, years. Maybe it received some updates over the years, I don't know, but this is like, okay. So, we can do hand pinning, same as the here, right? And this rig even allows head pinning if no, it's not this one, sorry. It's this one, because it's always before, you remember? You need to grab this bone, the last in the I key chain, and the first in the F key chain, but the last in the I key chain, in order to do the reverse I key behavior from just the standpoint of a auto IK option. And so because you need this selection here, this is why the bone that needs to be manipulated in order to do pinning is always before. So this is why we can do pinning by just grabbing this bone. But there's more to this. I'm gonna go through all this here. And finally, the last thing we're gonna go to this. So, okay. So here, imagine this is a hand. And here is one limitation that we need the blockers of the auto IK length. Yeah. So I'll show why. So imagine this is that bone with this kind of bones with the spheres, empty objects of the custom shapes widgets, right? So this will allow us to pin the joint of the forearm from its tail, because is the first bone in the IK chain for this chain here. And here's the setup that we have. This is the bone, the pinner, let's call the pinner, right? So if I grab this bone and grab, you see that this is doing F key. But if I grab this bone and this bone, now you see that it is pinned. Oh, what happened? G, maybe I grabbed something wrong. I think I've made some problem here. Okay. Anyways, not supposed to happen. I'm doing rotation. The rotation, it's normal when it happens. So G, oh, G is happening. Probably I have some mistake here in the auto IK length is too big, maybe. Yeah, maybe it's the case. Let's try again. Okay, see, it's working now. So this is happening. We can do this too. Okay, we can do it rotation. Remember to validate, then G, validate. We do the reverse IK, and then we get the pinning of this joint here, precisely this one. So it's just as an IK bone constraint, except that this is totally free. We can do pinning of the joint from the F key direction, but we cannot do, or actually pinning of the joint from the elbow joint from the, here don't even need the auto IK option, right? You just rotate, and this is the same bone, so whatever you keyframe here, it's done, right? And yeah, this is a circular perfectly circular ballistic arc of motion for the bone that will follow it through an F key behavior or partial F key behavior. That is the location, right? Whatever follows this joint will make the circular arc of motion, right? And so we don't have IK stretch for the auto IK option. So this is a limitation that this doesn't work. This is also very bad sometimes. So, but we can't do stretch. This works for IK bone constraint, but not for auto IK option. So this would need some update. I will report that. Anyways, so how do we manage? What I was trying to show. Yeah, we don't have the pinning from the reverse. That means that the only pinning that will happen, will be on that tail joint of the first bone in the IK chain. So I cannot pin the joint, the elbow joint, from this reverse IK thing, nor the shoulder joint. So this is why we needed these improvements. But we can pin the joint from this perspective, or I can pin the joint from this perspective, right? Or here on demand, right? Which joint you want to pin from an inverse kinematics perspective, but not from the reverse IK perspective. This then is limited only to the tail joint of the first bone in the IK chain, as shown here. No IK bone constraint here, folks. So it's just, So let's show how this is set up for the IK bound constraint for this, right? So I'm gonna present now this setup here. So this is the spherical stuff, right? Unparented bone. So right now it has the copy location. So I'll show you, it's unparented, you see? No connected relation there. But this bone is still moving it as it was parented, right? And we cannot move it because actually I've totally locked this bone, because this creates some problems usually. So I locked everything from this bone. And also I've locked the inverse kinematics panel on pose mode, the lock IK, XYZ, everything. So it's locked from here and locked from here. Why this is happening? Because this is an annoying thing. This is why we need these blockers that I was mentioned. These are locker bones. They are meant just to prevent that the auto IK length reached this last bone. You see, if it reaches there, the auto IK option will try to move it. But because, you see what's happening? This is impossible to animate like that, so in my opinion. So even if it's locked, the auto IK option will, because this bone was moved and it contains bone constraints, and it was transformed through bone constraints, we cannot have bone constraints affecting the auto IK chain, otherwise it will create this madness here. This is not a dependency cycle, but it will render the animation impossible and very unlikely to be good, right? It's sort of auto-fixing the transforms, like every time we pose. So it does the pose, but then it refixes it with adding, like stacking the transforms of this once again. So this is very creepy. It will be great if this could be prevented, but currently not. So we cannot have the it's a conflicting thing. So we cannot have the auto IK length reach this. This is why we need these protector bones, which will, if we bring, if we're animating this, for example, which has an auto IK length of 4, right? And then we bring this here. Okay, you see, with auto IK length 4, I've reached this one, but it's still not reached the last bone in the IK chain. So this one cannot be, actually not only this, but any bone that has a bone constraint in the middle cannot be reached. If it's reached, it's game over. It's like you need to bring back this thing. It will fuck up your pose. Worst if it was keyframed, right? But if you are on auto keying, worse even, right? But yeah, so you have to refix the pose. So all these bones have the same features. Oh yeah, I forgot here. So this is annoying because we need to do this locking from all of them, right? So all of these bones need to be locked. So hold Alt here. Also you can do this with copy auto selected, but it's gonna be tricky. We don't see, we need to double check. Okay, so this one, sometimes these values here, just don't know why. You saw this one doesn't. Okay, so anyways, we do this, then we double check. Okay, I don't know why. Maybe it was not selected after all. Ah, I see. Okay, we need to do this and do this. Let's reset all of these things. Let's copy alt to selected. Okay, I don't know. Now it's this is new to me. It's like it's okay. Sorry folks, here I really don't know what's going on. Never saw this behavior before, but usually they are locked here, and also they need to be locked in these properties here, right? So here you need to do, so I haven't copy to select, you need to do Shift Control V for all of them, and then you want double check. The larger, the bigger the skeleton is, the more you need to count this, because this will be where this default chain length behavior will be good, right? Self-adaptive. Do you want a per bone override later? That would be great, right? Then whichever bone we select here, like if I had a... Right, I already demonstrated that, right? How that should work. So you could grab this and it... But another option, another solution to development will be to have a blocker. So then even if this is connected, the auto key length will never reach, bypass this because of the locker. So that will be the blocker. Auto key length blocker. And if we had an auto F key length property, then perhaps an auto F key length blocker as well. But okay, I think this is one thing too much. So okay, so this is why we need these things. I'm gonna show how I configure them in my rigs here. So this rig, I'm gonna render it available, and here we're gonna add some for free, right? So here just 3 lockers here. They're called lock metacarpal, so just add 1. Okay, so basically we have the command, which can be pin or command or lock. It depends how you call it. It's different than the others because this is the one that precisely you cannot reach at all costs. It shouldn't be reached usually. So if I pose these fingers, I can add the metacarpal, this one, right? I can grab this, and then we have a locker, a second locker, and a third locker. And then there's some other bones, of course, which are connecting everything. We don't see them, but these ones with octahedral shapes, they are even appearing opposite, but this is just because... Yeah, then there's also this one. Okay, it is connecting to this one, right? Which is connected then to this. So these are rotations of this. I'm gonna show you. Okay, so we have here also the same. It's the same structure everywhere. What changed? So this is the command. Control neck. Yeah, it's have a wrong name. Then this command has immediately followed by this pyramid. Is just for showing it's the same bone, right? It's the lock head, and then finally we have the head. And so this is the unparented bone, and this is the bone that allows us to do head pinning. If we use auto IK option, if we grab... Wait, why it is not pinning? Oh, it's sorry, it's not this is not it's not this one. It is this one, because you see the spine starts here in this case. There we go. Head pinning. And then if you want, you can do like grab this, and you can, let's hide this stuff. Let's hide this stuff. This I tried to do an aim thing. It failed, but almost. But I don't think it's very good. So here you can get this one, and then we can grab this, and then something that will control the... There we go. And if you don't want to pin the head, then you just... Each skeleton is different actually, so this skeleton has some advantages and some disadvantages. It's not the one that I'm preferring right now. Let's spin this. This is not the best behavior, right? Okay, anyways. Let's go back. It's getting very confusing, right? But I'm gonna go through the end. Anyways. Okay, so you need this to be locked I key, then also locked in all the transforms. So they don't move at all. Of course, they move by this F key thing, right? But I can extend here, nothing will happen but they are not bone constrained, right? They are, so this is safe. But as soon as I reach there, then it's fucked up. So I need to get this back and reshape my pose here. So this is why we need these protectors, because if we come from, again, from this auto I key length of 3, for example, of 4, or yeah, of a lot, let's say, then if you bring a lot, then we grab here, and then suddenly you reach the commander bone, and then it's fucked up. So this is why we need this protection, right? So how this thing works now, the unparented bone. Interesting subject. Why stream this? Should be a standalone video. Yeah, good point. I'm gonna edit this video. You know, I'm chopping this information. It's very hard to do tutorials. I've done for a while, but now I'm extremely tired of making tutorials. It would be ideal, but I'm making this as a stream because for me it's better to make the records, because then I have to force myself not to try to do it better again. So I record, I have to edit. Okay, it's an attempt, right? It already worked for me. It helps me perform, right? You see, if you see what I mean. But I'm gonna edit this, and then I'm gonna. And thanks, yeah, this is a super interesting. This is groundbreaking subject, by the way. Tommy like Tom, yeah. So welcome. Also, so here, there are many ways to make the commander bone in terms of bone constraints. So here, in this case, imagine this is a forearm bone, right? Forearm bone. And this is a hand with the fingers, yeah, the metacarpal. So this is the place of the wrist. It's very abstract, right? But here we have a better example. So imagine this one, right? This one is the unparented bone. And in this case, this one is the unparented bone, yeah. Always the same shape, right? Okay, so we pin here. We can pin the fingertips, right? Even with rotation. So GR. Oops, not working. GR. What's happening? Oh, it needs to augment the auto I key length, maybe. Something. Okay, something like this. I think I don't have enough protectors, but okay, now we can. So G R trackball. What's happening? It's probably okay. Let's leave 4. 3. Let's leave at 3. Yeah. GR. I'm doing something wrong probably. This should rotate the... Yeah, usually that I was allowed to do this. Here it shouldn't be a problem. Except here my rig is different. Okay, so GR. So you see, here we can do the finger pinning with the rotation. It's a bit glitchy because the rig is offset, a lot of other issues, but it's the thing works. It's what matters. Okay, so here I was certain that this worked here, but I am not sure right now. So these bones have another color. These first lockers here after the commander bone, because this other one is bone constraint. So it's for a special feature that I'm gonna show. Okay, so how we can connect this? Sorry about the confusion. Basically, here we have a copy location to this bone, to the tail of this bone, right? So this is very straightforward. Otherwise, it doesn't follow up, right? So we want the follow up here. And then you have a copy rotation. That there are various ways of doing this, but before original, you don't need this. It can be replaced because it's locked anyway, so you don't need the... You use before original as an add thing, so it doesn't make any sense here. And let's see how it is in here. So for example, in this case, what I have, I have a before original, but the bone cannot be posed manually. So what's happening is that here we have multiple behaviors. You see that the hand stays aligned, right, as I rotate whichever of these bones. But if I grab this bone at the same point, I have a different hand behavior. You see it there? Just by grabbing this bone. And this is a hand controller bone, just for the rotation, not for the... So if I grab this and this and rotate, then I get, can also add this, I can do this simultaneous behavior, right? If I don't grab this, then the hand stays in place. This can be annoying sometimes, and this depends on the feature that we want. So this is because this rotation here, it is using this setup. Now I need to stop and try to understand my own rig. So basically, if I turn this off, what we get was precisely this behavior. If I turn this on, oh, wait. Apparently this is doing nothing. Master, oh, no, sorry. This is not for this. Actually, this is us. There's nothing exactly. So this bone, it's not following the rotation of the forearm. This bone, this copy rotation is a stacking one to the master upper body or master torso here. Wait. Master upper body, where is this bone? Okay, maybe I need to change this target. Okay, there is a master upper body somewhere. It should be, but maybe I have some other bone collections here. Whatever, but it's stacking a transforms basically. So this is why we use this. It's like an add, but better. Then local with parent, we can use this on the target precisely because the bone is left unparented, so it won't create problematic stacking transforms. So you can use this on target, local with parent, that this is more responsive. And then custom space is like a pivotal thing, so just the same targets here. Copy, so Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V. So custom space for the owner. So it's a mimicking sort of a parenting offset for the rotation, right? And this will mean, the idea of doing this is that we'll be able to certain bone here that I don't know where it is, would, oh, there it is. Okay, so this bone here, it was here. Okay, so this bone here, there was a bone here, I wasn't seeing it. So this bone here is responsible to doing this. This was an incomplete setup, actually. So there are various possibilities here. It's all about here how we want the rotations to respond and to what. So if I made it respond totally, for example, let's hide this just for simplicity, and let's do a copy rotation bone constraint here, and with a very basic thing, right? Replace, so total like this. So now what we get is that, okay, bad one. We want actually local with owner orientation. So you see now it's totally following. But what if we didn't want it to follow? Right? So then we just don't have it. And then if you want to have it, we just use this other one. And then you have two behaviors. If I haven't found a way to do the to add that bone constraint and then negate it with another way, so I wasn't able to find a way to do that. And so the best way for me for this wrist joint, same for this ankle joint, was to leave this, so this is not for the shin, this is for the lower body, another bone somewhere here, here. So this will do these things, and this will allow us to have some follow-up for the root and the center of gravity, because let's see what this thing happened. This one is parent to the master COG, doesn't have bone constraints. Okay, so it was just a way to get the, there are other ways to do that anyways. You don't need this probably, but this could serve some other purpose that I'm still investigating, folks. So here what you see, if I grab this bone, you see that the foot is flat despite the rotations, but if I grab this, now it rotates alongside. So this is the same system. The copy rotation is absent for this, is just a copy rotation on the tail of this main shin. So very simple stuff. And this copy rotation is for the manipulation of these big rig things, right? And so the shoulder joint and the hip joint is more delicate because this corresponds to some part of the rig, but here's the same thing. You have a map hips thigh, which is here, so I've extended the bone here to the one side. This was more complicated, and here we got also one extension here, so map chest shoulder. Okay, so this same structure here, so you have a command bone, we have the lockers, we have some lockers here and the command bone, and so this is left unparented, this is left unparented, just as all of these other ones, and then all of the other ones which have this shape. Then here, okay, copy location, this is always usually very easy. Then we have the copy rotation, so here it will respond to the map thigh. Yeah, exactly the same bone here for the copy. Okay, before original, so we are trying to make a stacking transforms of rotations for this bone, probably because of this, I guess. I'm not totally sure now, but local with parent, and we are mimicking for the rotation the rotation of this bone. This is why it follows up, even though there is no parenting relation here at all. And so this will allow us to have the manipulations. So for example, hip sway thing, we have this controller, and we have, if I grab, yeah, let's grab the hip sway. I don't remember particularly how this works, but if I hip sway this here, you see, it's not doing exactly the best thing here, but we can GR, R again. Okay, so this setup is probably a bit limited, but let's see. Oh, this is left unparented, so probably because of this. So I think there's another way to do hip sway, but I don't remember on this particular rig. If I extend the IK chain, will reach the, whoops, what is this? Eventually, yeah, so they are not locked, they are very, this is not good, right? So they are not meant for this, so this is, and my other rig is better here, because here we have, in this case, we cannot have everything, unfortunately, so here is a hip sway. So this setup is more complicated, but I'm gonna explain later. We use another advanced technique. And so you have similar setup here. We have this thing. This is not unconnected, just as the shoulder here. So this is a connected skeleton, and there is advantage to this, but there's also disadvantage. I couldn't find a way to solve everything the best as possible. And the real reason this is I having so much trouble with this is because we need to have these bones to make the pinning on demand, and it's very limiting, but it's a way to do pinning without an IK bone constraint. So I need to specify, yeah, so this pinning will pin everything that is, actually this pinning is just for the head, because these are pinned, these extremities are pinned because of IK bone constraints, but we don't need IK bone constraints actually. The only reason we need IK bone constraints often in the ideal case would be for automations, like automations of helper rigs, mechanism rigs, where we are not posing the bones directly without the auto IK option. Then the auto IK option is useless. Then you need the IK bone constraints to make those automations, and I have some automations for some helper rigs actually, for anatomy, skinning, right? Because then I'm not posing them individually, so it's a different stuff. But here, okay, let's go back here to the, yeah. So here, this setup, so you see it's following as if it was parented, connected in this case, right? We have this system working here. There's some lockers, fake blockers, right? They don't block anything, right? They can extend the auto IK length, but they are, but they are not movable. They're not posable. Same as the command here, commander bone, and we just cannot reach this. But this is imagine auto IK length of 12, or from this bone, or here at least we need to reach 9, yeah, 10. So now it breaks the rig. Temporarily, it's reversible, right? But it's annoying. So what happens here that I haven't shown is that we can actually, one of those lockers, they can be considered as mechanism bones. They can be bone constrained because they are not, although they are susceptible to be in the auto IK chain, they won't be, as long as they are not being posed in the auto IK chain, as long as they are not being transformed directly from a bone, indirectly from a bone constraint, like this one is a copy rotation bone constraint. So you see this, I can automate the, I'll show how this can be useful. So I can automate a certain rotation without collapsing, without creating problems, immediate problems to my rig. So this is the target of this copy rotation. So bone constraint which affect not this bone, but it could be this bone, but let's separate the stuff. So this is a bone that is just one of these but with a bone constraint. So this is why I've made it different. And how this can be used? Well, it can be used because in the case of a system, you know, this has Rigify add-on has this. I can do this, and you see these bones here, these yellowish ones. Yeah, these ones has the copy rotation bone constraint. So with a varied influence. Which one with a different varied influence? And they are just the same. They are connected, but they intake this, and this doesn't conflict as long as I don't reach it with the auto IK length. As long as if I reach it, then it's over. Then I start to get this madness. Of course, I can refix it, but it's annoying, right? And then you see that I might have even... No, okay, these are locked, they won't move, but you see, I cannot, they won't be affected by these transforms, but they will cause wreak havoc in the posing bone, right? These ones. So this is why, just because this one was affected by bone constraint, so I cannot reach any bone through the auto IK lane, which contains an auto IK behavior, right? It is being posed. So for example, if I make a copy rotation, let's do a copy rotation here. No, it's like this. So this bone is in the middle. So, right, just because of that, it will cause wreak havoc, right? So you cannot bone constrain these bones so far. I understand. And drivers as well. It will cause this wreak havoc, which is not a dependency cycle, but it is you can check it for your own. Here I can't demonstrate, but because this is polluted with other stuff that exists in this scene. And so here, this is how we can use this. So I cannot pose it, I cannot grab it. It's all locked, just as the same. IK locked, transforms locked, everything, but they can still be affected. It's still affected by a bone constraint here. So this is, and then this can be useful, right? Because we can have this kind of, right? You saw the example, right? Multiple fingers and metacarpals. Like then you can do that effect, which is very good. So it is, we can stack this functionality in this rig. We just cannot extend. We need to then to be careful. One less bone to be affected. And be careful, because if the auto IK length is 0, that's infinite, that immediately get it broken. Here nothing is breaking because of course I don't have any transforms. Now I have, and this is sufficient to cross the, right? If there were no transforms, this is why it's tricky, right? You need to have some indirect transforms through IK bone constraint or driver in order to see the wreak havocing effect. This is not yet. There we go. And even worse. So here, okay. So what about this? Yeah, this is the, okay, so this is a system that I have here. So you see that I decide to protect this bone further away. So this is why it's before. And here is another system that is different. This bone is actually poseable. So I can pose it. I can pose it. It comes before this one. These ones are not poseable, but you see that I'm not supposed to grab them directly. I think I forgot something for them. Yeah, probably we forgot some IK locks, I guess. Oh, I see. It's because this lock doesn't exist everywhere. So anyways. Okay, so this is not necessary. Let's get here. Let's make sure they have the IK lock. Okay, so this... I'm reaching the wrong bone, of course. Yeah, so I see I need to... So this IK chain here is not... auto IK lane is not meant to reach this bone, actually. We can, but it's too dangerous because it's close to this one. So... this bone is actually a rotation controller for the hand manually. So this is the setup that I have here. No, not here, but in this skeleton. Is this bone here, precisely this one. It's exactly here. This is free. It doesn't have any auto IK lock property, and it doesn't, like this one, and it is free to transforms, and it doesn't have any bone constraints, although it could have, because it is free to do, right, this rotation. So this is a hand rotator, but we cannot use to grab because it is connected, right? We cannot do IK stretch, so without the IK option, so there's nothing I can do with this bone except for rotation. Well, can scale, okay. And this rotation is interesting because if I grab this, you see, I can rotate on demand by just having a multi-selection. Here we have this behavior, and if I select this and this will have, and this is stackable, of course, and you can keyframe this is, and then this one, if I grab this one for, yeah, this is for the fingertips, right? And it probably will work. No, it won't work because this is the same IK chain here. So it's actually this, or can be anything actually. Anything that can manipulate the rig. As long as we grab this, we can do the pinning, right? And we can do rotating also, and G validate if you get these glitches. All right, so soundtrack has gone. Let's go back. Sorry, folks. This is creepy thing from YouTube. So, and what is this one? Well, it's the same, but now this has at the same time the bone constraint one, you know, for the rotation, or could be anything, but right, just in principle. So you have this automation. It has the control for the rotations. We cannot unparent, disconnect any of these bones because this will break the system of the pinning of the fingertips. Right? So this is why the auto IK length, IK chain needs to reach this bone. So all this is connected, and this is left unparented. Well, this one is splitting outside, so from here, so it doesn't matter. We can't activate the IK chain auto IK length from this bone alone. It's just a right, but it can be parented offset. It can even be bone constrained to something here, as long as it doesn't create some dependency cycle, of course. Probably a bone previous to this. Yeah, so if we want it, but we can leave it, and it will follow up with the offset parenting. So this is set up more or less like this, right? So we can make these structures, but if I connect something here, this be prepared, because usually, yeah, I would like to have something for the, in the case of the fingers, at some point I've decided that, yeah, so let's show the example here. Yeah, so see, each finger from the metacarpal renders itself, ends up into lockers, then the bone constraint locker, and then protectors, right? And then they all connect themselves to this, into the same bone, right? We don't see very well here. Let's try to see on here. I think here it's cleaner. We need to be on pause mode and solo all. So here you see, I've made a lot of protectors here because I was having some troubles. So basically then they join all into this. So this is just a single bone. I just changed to stick to see better. So these are B bones, right? And so for each finger, they have a lot of protectors. One of the protectors is the bone constraint one, because I think I've made this feature here too. Yeah, so there you see. I don't see which is the bone that is, probably is this one then. Yeah, so this one is the one containing the rotation bond constraint. It may not be the simplest, I don't know why I made the decision, but that also works. And then this is, of course, parented connected to pin fingertips, which is actually a wrong name. It's just one bone here. It is part of... Yeah, it's just this bone here, and this is... oh, this is this one. Okay, so it was the unparented one. And so here it has a copy rotation, pose space. So this is parented to a hand bone instead of a forearm bone, because this rig is different. So this is following some hand bone thing, right? True bone constraints. So you see there are various ways. So it will respond to this kind of rotation here. There's no problem to have this bone rotate indirectly, as long as we don't extend the auto IK length to this. Like you see, it moved, then that was garbage. That will break the rig, right? I need to go back, fix your... Okay. So this is why we need... Absolutely, it would be good that we have some updates to this. Now that I finished this thing, let's go for the other topic, which is a bit more... I should have more things added here. But basically, the head pinning, which is how I made this head pinning. So this rig has this kind of behavior here. We have a connector of the upper of the spine and the hips, like the sacrum is connecting the upper body with the lower body. And this allows us to do something very crazy in the skeleton. It's not totally... It doesn't have all the cool features, but it has enough cool features that we can do. For example, okay, I have the bendy bone spine, connected spine, right? Oh, you see, this is not changing the head, no problem. This is a multi-selection skeleton, this kind of puppeteer skeletons. Or with auto IK option, it's meant for multi-selections. Like you see here, for example, if I just grab this is the IK bone constraint behavior. But if I grab this, and we can extend the auto IK length and work to various other effects. Then I grab the head, I can rotate. It's not working, hold on. There's a glitch. It's because this rig still holds IK bone constraints on the same chains, there are some conflicting. I've reported it, but don't expect it. This glitch happens even if the IK bone constraint is disabled and influence set to 0. This is completely glitchy, right? It's a glitch because it solves itself. It is ugly, right? For posing. This is why I had a IK bone constraint, a custom property for the head that I had to switch manually. That created a lot of things, and besides the custom properties. But here, if I grab just these bones, I can have okay, the head is split, right? I can rotate the spine with inverse kinematics from the auto IK option. I don't have anymore an IK bone constraint for the head because it's not necessary. And if now the important thing, if I extend, because the spine is connected in a very mysterious setup, intricated setup that it took me a while to find, but there are various ways to do this, but I think I found a very good way to do it right now. If I extend this lower than the sacrum, sorry, so this is the lowest spine. Beyond that, we will reach the connector. And when we reach which will be the sacrum, let's say like this, then you see that I can at the same time have IK inverse kinematics on the spine somehow. Yeah, I still have inverse kinematics on the spine, and I have reverse kinematics for the legs and the hips. This is very cool, right? And we can also do this from the opposite direction. So if I grab this, for example, and the auto I key length is reach the connector there. Now I can push and pull the torso. So everything that is above the sacrum becomes F key. In this case, because the head is not pinning, but we can pin it. But I won't have the best feature here. I lose the I key from the leg, but let's do it. Okay, so you see. So here what we got, we can also do rotation. So what I have is that the head is pinned. I have inverse kinematics. No, I don't have inverse kinematics for the leg. Now I have. This is the limitation of disconnected because of the, because this is in the all chain. As soon as I connect it, I lose the I key. So this is sad, but at the same time, we can still do something, like we can do in parts, right? It's not ideal, but like I can grab the foot. Okay, we can do this. Then when I decide to, okay, maybe I want to pin the head. Now I cannot extend the spine. Yeah, it seems to be locked, right? Isn't there be a way to do this? This is locking the whole system of the I key, even the reverse I key actually. But if I grab the torso, then I have reverse I key for the spine, but I don't think I have the I key for the leg. Yeah, so it's like make some exchange of sacrifice, right? But it's still good because I can still do a lot of stuff and the head is spinning and I can do this, and right, so it's very good, very good. It's still good. And then here this spine, so this is what I'm gonna show how to do, because there's a similar system for the head, the splitted head. We can split the sacrum. Here the sacrum is not splitted. What we have is that this instead of parenting offset to a torso bone, it has a single copy transforms bone constraint, which is a master torso local with parent. So this is like to be stacking some stuff, but I think this probably won't work. Okay, so it's good use copy location, copy rotation, but I found that for this one, this works. So basically this is just copying the master torso. It's just like a offset parenting, right? But if I grab this, we have immediately head pinning. And the reason why the hands and arms are pinning is because they have their own bone constraints. But we can change that. Yeah, we can change it in the direction of this rig here. So let me show. Apparently here we have some limitations. So here apparently we have a splitting. Yeah, the legs are splitted. This one is splitted. Control body. No, this is not split. Control body. Lock spine. Lock spine, lock spine. Common spine, okay. Okay, so the spine is splitted. Okay, so exactly. So precisely what's happening here is that the spine ends here. So you see all this spine ends here. And we have some lockers. So why is this one? This is a controller, basically. Yeah, like it's connected, parented. It's one of these free bones, right? To offer some control. I can't explain. This is still connected. So this is connected to other lockers. Are not lockers, just a bendy bone. So 2 lockers here, could be more. And then command spine. So the command spine is left unparented. And you see there is just going up towards, so this is the spine, lock spine, yeah. So, but going down, we have, this one is parent to, oh, but it's a parent of set. Okay, so the parent of set will make it that the auto key length won't travel. So this is not, this is actually travel, not of the, this is just F key offset parenting. So maybe there's a better way to do this. So this bone is left, yeah, unparent offset. So it's a, so I split the spine still. Probably this is not optimal, but this rig works. But I was doing better stuff a bit later in my experiments. Okay, anyways, in this rig we can do the behavior that I was trying to show, which is that I can do on my other rig with the rigged model, which is that if I grab it's not this, if I grab, where would be it? Okay, I need to extend the, oh, apparently none of my, it says another rig then which I could do this, possibly. None of these rigs can do this. It's just a matter of the how you set up the, I should expose this better anyway. So anyways, we can, I'll try at least to do, yeah, you see I cannot, the problem here is that I cannot control the, okay, so the thing is that I see my rig here worked in the fashion that I mean, because there was an Ike bone constraint on the head, and these Ike bone constraints allow for the pinning even if I wasn't grabbing a bone that contains the Ike chain. So this is why there was a little advantage actually. It causes some glitches, that's some other things, but there's probably more to be done, right, actually. If this one was connected, though, let's say I would need to make something like, okay, let's do something crazy here. I'm not gonna save, so I'm gonna connect here. Here we got some displacement, but we're gonna just do this, all right? So what we have here is that now I connected the upper body with the lower body, I think. Is this parented connected? Yeah, so this is parent to the control body. And lock spine, all right. All right, this is creepy. We can easily adjust this here. Symmetrize. All right, what happens that this bone now is responsible to pin everything, I guess. No, it's not pinning the legs, of course. The legs we need here, all right? Oh, yes, yes, of course. So I cannot extend. So I need to do something like this, I guess. Nope. Yeah, precisely. With this bone on the spine, it will force lock the chain. Just as grabbing this. Well, it's not exactly this, right? Okay, so this is tricky. Here. Okay, let's show the, ignore this. This is a name track that I was attempting to do. Couldn't find a result, but let's go for the head here. So this is very interesting. Okay, so here we got, yeah, the same lockers. Then we have, so here's the neck. There's the neck ends here on this joint, but there's just this bone here, it's control head, which actually doesn't control the head, but it controls the eye keys of the spine. But if we grab the bone, because it's connected to the, so we can extend the, right, to the neck, to the upper, to the chest, you see. So this is, if we grab it alongside the head, then we can move them in sync, and we just do the basic stuff, right? And this doesn't cause any problem. We can even use the later Blender, yeah, affect gizmo use as pivot options for the, so it's using the same, although it's offset, right? It can offset, but it's not a problem because it's just for pose. You can readjust the curvature of the necks a little bit. That's it. So you pick them in sync if we need. Then this bone, however, this is very tricky because in order to make the separation of the head, if the head skeleton ended, the blue one ended up here, let's hide this this stuff here. It doesn't matter, it's just for something else. If the head ended here, then this will be the joint that would be pinning. So this would not be good. So in order to solve that, I had to extrude another bone from there. That is this one, going downward, going back to the joint. And so this bone doesn't have any bone constraint, but we leave it locked maybe? Well, maybe not. It doesn't need these ones, apparently, but it needs this one. So it won't respond to auto IK option at all. So that means that it will just follow up always. Here you see, but it's the same, right? It's just the, it's the same position. Okay, so this bone going downward is the tail. So the tail is as the base of the neck again. The tail of this lock head reversed. The name lock is a bit confusing here, according to what I've shown before. So you see, there is this thing that it goes up, then goes down again. And this we use for the spine connector as well sometimes. And I'll show you why in a moment. So here what we need to do for this setup, and then the chain ends here. So it's exactly going back to here. And because it is IK locked, it will always stay here. No bone constraint though. And now this bone, okay, now we have the pyramid of the lockers. We have the commander, which is this one, right? So this one, this is more tricky. So copy location to the head, tail of the neck. No, to the not to the neck, because the neck is, although it has the right position, it is not what we want for some various reasons. We want this one to be, I found that this works. In many things should work, but it's tricky because sometimes we get some behavior that I don't want, that we might not be satisfied with for more regular rigs. So this one is the best I found so far. So we got copy location to this bone, but on the tail, right? Not on the its head, which is on top. Right? So, and then we got also a copy rotation to the same bone here. So what does it do is that it will follow, it'll make this bone, or should do, right? Follow local space, custom space lock reverse. You know, I don't see it doing anything right now, but maybe it does something. Maybe it's for the I-key behavior. Before original stacking with. Maybe this is for the head pinning. No? Okay, so this is maybe it's for something else here. Well, I'm not sure, so apparently this is useless. What we want still is the oh, maybe it's because of this. No, the head is following. Okay. Here the head is straight. Okay, a lot of things happening. It's basically, let's see this other rig because this is I've done lately. See, it's not rotating. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, I just followed the same properties here, but maybe this one is useless. Let's check for this one. Let's check here. Okay, so see the head stays stiff, but if we grab here, no, if we grab glitch, but it also solves. All right, so might not be the ideal thing, but we have the, and we can do this with head pinning, of course. Then the torso is sacrificed, yes, as long as you get this. So you see that there are some limitations after all, but I'm still up to decide what can be best. And there you see that okay, this one, there's one that is for okay, stacking local with parent, because unconnected this also usually works. Custom space, so basically this is the master of COG. So basically this means that the head will it's not following. No, the COG is here. So basically you see the head follow. So you can stack this because of the mix. So if we do this, we also have the same behavior for the skin, I mean. But we can do this with this bone because of this bone constraint. So you see, we order that bone that cannot move to move, otherwise we'll have this critical problem even from the root bone. So because we need to do something about the unparented, right? So we leave this at the top because it's higher hierarchy stuff, and it won't substitute the other rotations, because although this, yeah, this could be replaced or something that works, whatever, as long as the following ones for rotation at least would be not replaced, right? Okay, So in order to do this, I don't have the example here, so it should be good that we have the example. It is basically, I'm gonna reproduce it so you have this in this file. So basically it's something like we have a neck. Yeah, let's pick the neck here. We can grab this. Yeah, so what we have is something like this. The neck is still connected here. So this is the control head, but we're gonna make it like, yeah, we need to do this. Then we're gonna make an extension here. And let's reset here and here. So this will be like, so this is the lock mechanism reverse head. And this will be like the control head for the spine, right? Control head spine. So this one will allow us to control the spine, and because this one will be bone constrained to this one, right? We have the proper setup. Also, we're gonna I-key lock. Yeah, we're gonna probably want to lock all this, and then we want to I-key lock this, so it might not suffer accidentally from anything crazy. Okay, and then we have this offset problem, of course. Offset, I mean, yeah, there's, so we're gonna make some extrusions here. I need to hide this. Okay, so pick this, extrude, 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 whatever, let's do 5 of them. And so all of this should have the same Control F2. We're gonna call them, so set name, we're gonna call them lock head. This will be like a command or pin. No, this doesn't pin the head. It's not exactly this. Yeah, so this is strange name, right? Not the one that will be, it's just the one responsible for separation of the head. So actually this bone is useless for in the terms of pinning, like it's more for a separation, because what we're gonna pin would be, so we're gonna, it will be better if we try to yeah, so let's make some parentings here. Reset everything. Okay, and hide everything. Reset clear role. So this one, it's left unparented. Okay, so this will be, yeah, like if I grab this, I should be able to pin, but this is not ready yet, because now I need to change the bone constraint. So instead, this one, we're gonna copy location. We want to target the reverse on the tail, on its tail, exactly the same position, right? And then we're gonna have also, so this copy rotation I'm not sure about. Let's see what we have here. Oh, maybe that's why we need this. No. This is normal, because this is not, the deformed head won't follow here. The deformed head will start from this one. So I've got to make these bones very small here. Yeah, this one gets very bizarre, right? I don't know. So we're gonna try to abstract this, right? Because it's very hard to fix it. Okay, maybe this works. Okay, this worked. All right. So we're gonna make all these bones like very small. Length 0.01. Copy to selected. It doesn't seem to have worked. Oh yeah, actually they got all messed up. Okay, we're gonna just do one by one then. This is too little, maybe. Okay, I don't know why. Maybe my scene is bigger here, probably. Okay, this, then we're gonna do this for hide this again. Pick all this one, so Control V, copy to select, there we go. So I want to lock all this stuff as usual. So lock this. Make sure, hold Alt. Okay, now they should all have double checking for all of them. That should be good. And as for this one, also checked. Yeah, all good. So now from here is that finally we're gonna extrude the head, and this will be the actually the real head, which will control the head deformation, right? So this is the master head, because very bad to manipulate here, right? And this, the auto IQ, just need to be sure that it doesn't reach the bone constraint bone at the end. Yeah, right. So we don't use auto IQ for this one. In principle, maybe I thought we could use this feature here for maybe something that continues here to the face. We could do some IQ thing, but this will be very experimental. Maybe there's some use for this. I tried for aiming, but okay, so you see that this neck thing is not good. So I'm not sure what's not good here, but probably we need to do this setup here. We're gonna change the target, so the reverse, and we want, so we're gonna use this replace, or I think it was before original, local with parent, and then we got a custom space, I guess. Paste this here. Let's see now if okay, apparently we got some weird offset. I think it's just the wrong thing here. Okay, I have I key here. You see that the head is doing good job. This is the master head. We might need a few more lockers there. Okay, let's leave it offset so it's easy to visualize. We don't pose this. We can pose this one, right? We can pose these ones in sync. And let's see if we have the lock. Oh yes, so you see this is not good. This is not doing the good pinning because the bone constraint is wrong. So I need to recover. Local with parent. No, it's not this one. Local space. Okay, local space. And what about this one? It's also local space. So there's a little difference here. I cannot explain right now. I have to why, but it's something about it will just adapt to, right, this is the neck thing, this is not the head. We also gonna, okay, I'll make an exception here. So this is the real head, right? And there we go. So here, so this is okay, it's not a problem. In the case of a bendy bone, yeah, it will bend a little more, this neck thing. The neck is here actually. And so this is where we can use this setup here to make this kind of things. Of course, if we have, now it's our choice if we want to expand the rig, like how we're gonna make the arms and right, the connect, if we want this thing unparented, even from here, yeah, there are more stuff that you see, imagine that we're grabbing the arm here, we could be doing this, which is funny. It's very good actually. And then we can push the head maybe alongside. It's not super clean, but it works, yeah. And yeah, this is incomplete anyways. Anyways, here we got one of the very weird setups, right? And then of course for the, because this is left unparent, if we rotate here, you see that the head is stiff there. So there's no need to add a different system here, like for now, just to complete. So this will leave unparented. We're gonna, I cannot parent this bone, remember? So let's just do a very straightforward setup here. Right, so now this works like a COG. Maybe it's not the optimal, but it's just so that we know what how this works. Then, because I preferably would do the spine madness there. We do something like here for the spine. So there are various ways. We'll still figuring it out. So here we're gonna go for the that other bone constraint. We're gonna place at the top. So we're gonna add it here to the command head. So we're gonna do a copy rotation, I guess. So we're gonna call it COG for now. So I'm gonna do local with parent and maybe like this. And so now, yes, the head does all that. And also, oh, we can't use this. Actually, this will be a fake parenting. This works. It's not the ideal, but it can do the job. Oh no, hold on. We can't. We need the same system here. So actually this will be like a command spine, yeah. So basically, because this is one of these bones that cannot be moved, yeah. So you understand, the logic is the same. So good that this happened, because now we seems that it is reversed, right? No, it's just an illusion. The bone is very weird right now. We don't want this thing. Let's turn off the deform. And of course, because we want some protectors, so we're gonna shift D this whole stack here, and we're gonna unparent this one. We're gonna move this down. We're gonna parent this one to here. We're gonna select everything here, and we're gonna Control F2, find replace. Instead of head, spine, and yeah, let's also strip characters. And punctuations. All right, then we gotta just pick this joint and place it there, and then we parent connected, right? So now what happens is that this ball now controls everything, right? F key behavior, not F key behavior, because, and this will cause arcs of perfectly circular arc of motion. It doesn't need to be F key parenting. F key through parenting relations, either disconnected or connected, doesn't need to have the, and then we have this, and then we have the, yeah, we need, so I cannot do with itself. So this is the thing I need, in order to do the pinning, I need to have an overarching hierarchy before it, like this torso. This is what is missing probably. I need a structure that can control the upper. Oh yeah, folks. So that is perhaps what I need to do. So this upper, we barely see them. Let's change. So we need this. I need something that can control the. Yeah, not be able to do it here, but yeah, so this can serve a purpose, because this will control all the body, and then it will, but if I use this with the right pinning, it might allow to do a few more tricks. So this is very interesting, because this is higher hierarchy. Then I grab this, and there we go. I think we missed something. Okay, this connected here. This probably was disconnected. No, what's happening here? Let's augment the. This is crazy, so I don't know what's going on, but oh yeah, excessively long auto key like this can cause some disruptions. Exactly. Isn't that like double? Okay, that seems good to me. And we have all this, it's everything is progressive, so it's like just changing behavior of the rig as we pose. So you have a progressive keyframing result output, a progressive workflow, and this is how good this thing gets. Okay, so now there is more. So if I could have something higher hierarchy here, apparently this bone constraint, maybe it's not the ideal. Let's try something else here. What I've used here, copy location and copy to the master torso, copy rotation with local with parent and fake parenting. Okay, let's try this one instead. Copy location and copy rotation. So the copy rotation is yeah, just here, can be both spaces. They're gonna do the fake parenting with local with parent, I guess. Was that the case? Yes. Because I was getting the impression I was getting double transforms. Yeah, this seems a little better now. Yeah, it's much better. Okay. Glitch, unglitch. It's G, yeah. Multi-select, so G, R, trackball, then validate, G, validate, it solves. It restores as we wanted. Because it's reverse I key. If it were I key, it wouldn't work. So this, if I do I key here, and with rotation, then this won't be, at least I haven't found any way to solve. Yeah, so it's for the reverse I key for some reason. Okay. Alright, so you see this works, and this one we dump. Therefore, other utility that I've used that. Another way, let's see. Copy transform, yeah, so here it worked for this rig, but this, so you see there are some patterns we need to explore all the various but now let's do, I wouldn't be able to finish this one because this I think I've left, it was not solved. So what I want to do now is this spine system here. So we have the hip sway, we have the spine, and we have they are additive, they don't conflict or not conflict too much, right? This bone usually needs to be, is a little problem, we need to really reset it or not. Can it be I key locked? I'm not sure it's a good idea. I'm not saving here anyways. I think I've tried this. Okay, anyways, what's happening here, folks, is that this has a similar system as the leg. So here is our conventional structure, and this is a command. Yeah, this is for the head pinning in this rig, but it would pin everything, every extremity, actually, by default. So we don't pose this bone, right? This command connector. This is connecting the. So what's happening here is that this bone, control hips, is parented connected to the command connector, so straightforward here. And then there is another bone, which is the command connector bot for the bottom, that is parent, it's going up. So this is going up from here. This is also going up from here. So it's a split of the spine, but still connected, right? And from this point begins the hip sway, but this bone shouldn't be moving actually. I cannot bone constrain it, right? Understood? So I should not be posing it, but because it's a bendy bone, yeah, we can rotate it, so it will offset a little, but that's fine. The deform rig is somewhere in between. It has a setup that I don't remember. It's not the point now. I think the spine is going up anyways, and then we can control it from both of its joints. So it's not a. It'll be interesting. Just that it's annoying. Yeah. So here we see the mechanism bone of the hip. So it is actually, yeah, no, it's going down, but the spine I think is going up. Yeah. So the mechanism is going down, and it has a copy. It's not even working here. Okay. Anyways, there are many ways to do this. It's not super important. It's all very awkward, but this actually works. And so it's a stacking. So these ways allows in the same skeleton from the same pivoting points. Actually, no, different pivoting points. But regarding the deform rig is the same pivoting points. And so we can control the rig like simultaneously, either from the spine and have the spine bending, even from the sacral. Could be a bit awkward, but I found that this is better. Otherwise, the spine is too stiff when it reaches the hips, because then the hips becomes F key. And while I here the hip, this part which is already the hips, the sacral vertebra, so these are still I key. So this is very interesting for me, for the spine rig. But then the hip sway, we have it from a control bone, which is part of this entire contraption skeleton. And then we need this thing, and then everything connects in here. So the question is, this rig was splitted. No, there I made different iterations on this, and this is the best I could found lately. But let's rebuild this. Is gonna make it simpler here. So of course we have the spine here. We're gonna make it a bendy bone. So like with some segmentation, right? 5 is fine. I'm gonna make them different, so it's easier to identify them. Okay, so this will be like the control hips, or actually spine sacral, yeah, like then we gonna from here, so this is a bit tricky to make the rig of this, but it's feasible. We're gonna extrude backward, we're gonna flip this, and this we're gonna make into octahedral, so you see the orientation, the direction. We gonna connect this here, connected. Here is a little problem because of we're gonna choose this. Ideally we would like just a handle to make it, you know what, because this is a bendy bone, let's do this. So we're gonna make a special bone here, like so we got this one. We're gonna use the active element, then get the cursor from the top and then snap here. Hold control. This allows to snap from the tail. Okay, so this will be like a B bone. You're gonna this bone is completely is just for the sake of actually like this. So handle, spine sacral, then that means that we gotta get this. So instead of automatic, because it's connected here, we're gonna actually get absolute, and we're gonna, but now it's not following anything, so it needs a target. So by having the target here, okay, I don't know what's happening. This seems to be broken. Usually this should work. Okay, this whatever. This works. So now what to do, just parent here, but parent keep offset for this one. So it just follows up, and then that means that we can have this kind of bending, right? We can do something about this, maybe bone constraint also, but okay, it's just a follow-up. So then, just because you have a bendy bone's fine. And then now we're gonna make the other splitting. Let's let's extrude from this joint. I hate this system because it's, oh no, it won't extrude from this because it's unparented. Okay, so this one we're gonna make into a stick. I know it's might be confusing, but so we're gonna make this the mechanism, yeah, mechanism, but it's actually gonna be posed, so still mechanism. So there might be other ways to, yeah, mechanism sacrum. It's not, yeah, it's not good. Let's do this. It's like you just okay. And then we gonna extrude, but delete this one. We're gonna extrude. So here, this one we're gonna make octahedral, and this we're gonna control hip sway. So this we're gonna move back to, yeah, could be here exactly. And so now we have the spine doing this and this hip sway doing this, but this offset could be the annoying part, but it's really is not. We cannot bone constrain this. So previously I was doing this thing. This bone didn't exist. This one, the connector there, and the hips say was going down and the spine up. This works, yeah, and we keep these things connected. But then the problem is that the spine is stiff at the bottom, because it will the bottom, there's more to the bottom, right? And this is the sacral and the sacrum into the hips, the pelvis, yeah. There's also part of the spine which is there. So I thought that this is more interesting for skinning. So it's unnatural, but okay. And then if we then connect everything, if we extend to the connectors and everything, so the hips become F key, while this is I key. And same here, if we grab this and reach this. So this is what we cannot do. We need to extend a little more. And now we have I key for the hip sway and F key for the spine. And if we had some other thing here, like a head pinning, that from an I key bone constraint, for example, it will pin the head as we do this grab. But now I believe there might be some way. We might make a test here. And so here it will be okay. But what we do with the spine, so actually the hip sway, so usually here we want the continuation, and this will be something like this. And here it will depend how we're gonna make these connections, right? So we could have this kind of leg here, like, and this is the hip femur joint, right, onto the pelvis. And so here we have so we have some, we could do this, and then we reach up to the spine, and then we have this system, which is very interesting, right? And yeah, so you see the pinnings, it's pinning everything, but you know, I'm grabbing this bone. And the problem is that let's try something here. Yeah, it's always spinning, right? But you see, I have some freedom here in this case, which is interesting. It should actually be like this, right? But I cannot move these up. I would like to move these up and pull the, yeah, but I can't because it's spinning, right? I wouldn't like to pin this, so maybe there is a way to do this without, because here I have reverse F key everywhere, right? Reverse F key everywhere. So okay, I've just found out a different setup. It's because on the rig where I have this spine, everything is left It's pretty funny, right? But in the rig I have this, like what's happening is that it's actually pretty good. We could consider the same for the arms as well. So like okay, here we're gonna just do a, we need to do this, right? It's fake, but that works. And then here we could have like so to check, all right. And so here you have pinning of everything. And then, okay, you need to, oh yeah, okay, so you have this. The problem is that I cannot pin here on demand what I want, right? I need to grab this bond, but then everything is pinned again, right? So this is why the IK bond constraints are still good, but they will also cause limitations, I think, precisely because everything will get locked. So I'm not sure exactly now why, but let's make a few tests here. So here you see one setup that can work, right? Another setup, right? So let's try something crazy here. Let's get into the IK bond constraint. Again, the soundtrack, sorry folks. Let's reach for the IK owner, mechanism IK owner. Gonna delete this entirely. Maybe I need to do in the opposite side as well. Okay, I don't have. I don't have IK on the legs anymore, right? The rig responds to other things actually, but that's fine. You see that it is not a real pinning here, it's just a fake because it's a stretch to bond constraint of the mechanism rig, which is controlling the deform rig. So there is some offsetting here, which is bad, right? But as soon as I grab, we'll see the pinning if I grab this bone, right? No, we don't see. Maybe I need to expand it. Yeah, so here. To 0. No, it's not pinning. Okay, so I don't know. There is some... things that need to be checked. Okay, but this is not what exactly I was doing for. I want to see if the spine gets... yeah, I want to see if I can... oh yeah, everything gets locked, you see. Yeah, I don't understand why I'm having this. I was having... everything freezes. Okay, I'm gonna make another test here. I don't think it's the IK bone constraint. It's something about this setup that is different than what I had before. Let's get the... here. So we're gonna go on pause mode. Let's delete this. Invert, also delete this. All right, so okay, good. We have this behavior, but then as soon as I pin here, everything gets... Maybe it's because of this. No. Oh, of course. No, not of course. Okay, this is not new. It's not sufficient to grab a bone. Yeah, why this is locked? Here is different. Okay, no, this locks, yeah, because it... But then what about this one? I grab this and I grab... How this doesn't lock? It doesn't have... Oh yeah, it's not bone constraint. That's why. So maybe we should... But yeah, I need to bone constraint this. Oh yeah, actually it's locked from... Yes, it's locked from... Not only because of the bone constraint, it's I key locked. Okay, we're gonna try one by one. Let's start with this. Okay, so this means that probably here I would have some... Yeah, except that we are pinning. So not good. We're pinning the joint. But we're pinning the head too. So if you want to pin the head only... Okay, so it cannot be... locked like this. If you lock like this, it's over. Although another bone is allowing us, as long as you don't select it. But then if you don't select it, the pinning is over, as we can see, of the head, right? If I grab this and this, it doesn't work as well. So it's insufficient to pin here. So this is why we would like to have the auto F key property, right? So we would like to pin from any bone that we pick in the I key, in the auto I key option, right? So I see. So it makes sense. What about, so if I turn this off, so I'm spinning the head, but I don't, yeah, interesting, I can, interestingly, I can still pose this bone. It's good cause wreak havoc though. Yeah, this is, because this bone shouldn't be moving, first of all. It is changing the head, so... But that's interesting, right? We're finding some things. Maybe there is something about how we lock this thing or not. because it can move. What it cannot do is move in any crazy way. Okay, then we... What have I haven't checked is this auto... these things here. Okay, I'm able to make it rotate, right? It is locking, and wow. Yeah, but it's causing some problems, right? Yeah, this was already happening. This is because of the bone constraint here, I guess, right? Master COG. No, it's something else that is causing this. But that's very interesting. So there is more to know about this stuff. All right. But now, the more look at this, the more things I find. So I was just gonna show something that didn't work. I was trying to make an aim thing, but I think it won't work. Didn't work in the end. So I can use this one to sort of pin the head is now trying to follow. The real head is rotating, trying to, but it has a lot of problems that are unsolved. Like the head is looking here, but the pinning position is here. So if we lock this, yeah, so this is, forget, this is, I think it's not possible. So we cannot substitute a custom property of aim head track with this auto IQ option. Unfortunately, maybe with upgrades in the future we can. That means no need to have that custom property, which I have here, right? So now what I'm going to do, okay, maybe the ice track we can substitute. This is not the ice track, just aim. This is the aiming of the eyes, right? Something like that. Maybe this one. I will try later, because this is more like deeper in the rig details. So this is why I haven't checked. The other things take too much. So this is a fit stance. This is for the high heel boot system. This is versatile. So this is for rigging. We leave at 0, but the default is 1 for, okay, for 3D animation. So this will leverage to drivers certain bones, the ankles, and yeah, the foot rolls here. Yeah, so that's the head track, which, yeah, which I have here, but this I'll have probably one of those remaining custom properties that I can't find a good solution to. The pin elbow, pin joint, knee, and right, so this is what I found today. 4 of them, they can actually be substituted. And this is what we're gonna see here. So basically this setup here, I was... So what's happening here, imagine this is the shoulder. And this will be the hand, right? So the hand, why the hand is connected? Yeah, it doesn't need to be connected. So we can, yeah, just leave this clear parent here. It doesn't matter. Okay, we have a hand here even. Let's keep offset. Okay, we have a hand here. And so this is for the problem is that when we start to, and now we have one of these systems here. But what's happening here is that we separated the okay, let's try to make this thing more user friendly. So yeah, the bone starts here. Okay, so what we have here is a... this changed the bone. Yeah, it's like... I need to try to change... As I augment this... no, not this works. Okay. So what we have here is that this bone is the parent, the unparented bone. So we're gonna call it the... Yeah, because its axes are there. So we're gonna call it the command. Not sure if we need protectors here. Probably yes, but... Command elbow, right? And this will be like a mechanism reverse elbow. So basically it's just tracking back to the joint there. So why this? I don't know. And then we have just to improve the rig maybe. It's not absolute. Then all this is locked. So the real secret here, the problem that we need to fix with this setup is that we need to find a way to multipose this in an IK way that would be elegant, and this is very easy to break, and this is the problem. But it's not also bad because we can do straight IK, so this is... But for the case of the pinning problem, to not use drivers with custom properties, this is a great advantage. It's not that bad actually, you see, as you can see. So and what I did here, so if we grab this and this, same idea there that we saw for other rigs, we can have this and this and have this was it this one? Okay, I don't remember, but this is not the thing that I wanted. It's because this bone constraint has a copy rotation. I want to reproduce this system here when you do this. This one doesn't rotate, but if I do grab this and this, or this and this, then we have the follow-up. And this is what we want. So we want this for the joint. So of course we lose this. We'll still have this for the spine. So this is a shame. But because I can't do pinning, I could add pinning from the reverse IK with custom properties in this rig, of course. Just as I did here. It affects the mechanism and deform rig, of course. This tweak. But it's not optimal, right? It's doable, but to be fair, ephemeral rigging, this is much better. So what we have here, so this remains IK locked, no bone constraint here. Might need some protectors after this one, so this joint might be a bit further, but that's okay. That's not the end of the world if we ever need to do that. And here, this is so no copy rotation bone constraint. If we... All this mystery here is what we do about the rotation system to have the best automation here. So I found out that, well, just leave it as it is. And so here we have the pinning from the torso. Imagine this is the shoulder bone, right? Or if the shoulder bone is separated also, well, we could have another pinning here, another separation, but at some point you don't want to have... Yeah, ideally we would have this feature everywhere, this versatile feature everywhere, but my conclusion is to have maybe leave the spine free. And yeah, the joints, because the knee and the right, these are very important joints, and these ones we want to have the pinning on demand just by posing. So this is why, from both directions, right? And so this is, of course, we don't pose from this, we pose from this. And so the system is very simple, as you can see. But of course there are problems with this. So see here, we cannot do some multi-rotations with that. But all this is ballistic arcs of rotation, so it might looks like I'm doing F key, but look at this. It's not that bad. I think something better could be achieved with, oh, here we go, auto key length of 1. So, haha, yeah. So I was missing this, of course. And now we have basically the master solution for the look at this rig. So this is just what I missed to implement on my custom rig here. It's more and more less and less orthodox. So now I can substitute this, maybe not this tweak, but this tweak is good for the, you know, I need those tweakers for the bendy limbs, cartoony bendy limbs. I never use, but I think that is good. So I don't need, yeah, we could keep this for the deform rig. One here, maybe 1 or 2 here, 1 here. Yeah, so maybe keep the tweaker rig, of course. But I won't need the F key behavior bones, because I won't need the I key bone constraint, depend on the, I will need this setup here. I won't need 4 custom properties and drivers and all that garbage. So I'll be able to, I already got rid of the pin head of the, which contain an I key bone constraint. So you could be able to delete all this. So just the aiming features that I couldn't reproduce with this, basically. And yeah, and something about rigging, which is not for animation. It's just for rigging. Yeah, versatility. And so basically, you see, this can solve all the problems through ephemeral rigging in Blender, even though it's not, it's underdeveloped. Imagine if they have developed that in Blender, or someone made an extension or an add-on, I know that, then this would be super great. You do just by changing options, how you pose the bones in the rig. And so this setup here, you see, with the auto I key length of 1, we can control almost as if it was an I key bone constraint. I don't see much disadvantage here. Actually, yeah, it's a bit annoying, but no bolt target. You can manipulate on demand here. You can do joint pinning from both the F key direction and the I key direction. Yeah, reverse. You can do from the reverse. Well, it's not. Yeah, this is a reverse I key, so you can do this from both directions, pinning that joint. And we have all this. We have this. We have easy behaviors here. All the arcs already inbuilt. And this is just vanilla Blender. So this is the theory about about this thing. So this is what I'm gonna urge to place in my yeah, this one I'm gonna update. So it's sad that we can't use this anymore, but yeah, we'll still be using. So if they improve this, imagine we won't need to make these complicated rigs. It will always be all the inbuilt in the, probably not in the connected chains, but maybe, I don't think they will be able to do that, but offset disconnected chains that the auto I key option could work into them. There was a developer who made that to work, but he wasn't able to sell or conclude his add-on. And to be fair, this system works here even without any add-on, so there's a great advantage for vanilla Blender. And I was already trying to do the spinning stuff. I think this was last year, anyways with auto IK option. But at that time I didn't know about this pinning from unparented bones. I didn't know this feature. I didn't understand this this could be used, right? Alright folks, so I think I've been through everything so that I know, and this is very confused. I should probably do something better. I can't edit this, it's too long and too much information. But I hope that soon enough I'll have the rig that will combine most features here that I have found here, including this one I found today, right? This thing, so I'm very happy now that I can finally solve this problem. So, and I'll still try to do some aiming for this, but I don't think this mechanism here of auto IK option probably won't work. Thanks for watching, folks. Take care. Happy Blender. Hope this was inspired. Soon enough I'll try to bring more concise information about that, but it's very hard. Don't have time for tutorials now. I don't have my monetization plans for YouTube failed, so, or YouTube failed for me, or this garbage thing, right? It even cuts your soundtrack from playing in streams. Okay folks, so that's it. Happy blendering. See you soon.